You don't need it anyway. Amanda's laughter crackled through the phone, thick with the same condescension she wielded since childhood. I'm getting married, and you're still single. At least the money will go towards something meaningful. I sat in my office at Luna Gardens, my fingers tracing the edge of my mahogany desk as I absorbed the news. My sister had somehow accessed and drained my personal savings, $100,000, gone. The irony almost made me laugh. She was calling from what she didn't realize was my venue. Enjoy your day, Amanda, I said, my voice deceptively calm, before ending the call. My name is Olivia Parker, and at 32, I've learned that success is the best revenge. While Amanda spent the last decade basking in our parents' blind favoritism, I was quietly building an empire. Luna Gardens wasn't just any venue, it was the most sought-after wedding destination in Connecticut. And no one, not even my family, knew I owned it. The afternoon light filtered through my office windows, illuminating the awards that lined my walls, each one earned under my company's name, never my own. To the world, including my family, I was just a moderately successful event planner. They had no idea I owned not only Luna Gardens but 3 other premier venues across New England. I opened my banking app. Amanda hadn't been bluffing. My savings, the only account my family knew about, had been systematically drained over the past week. The final withdrawal had gone through this morning. The memo line read, "Wedding fund. Thanks, sis." The click of heels on hardwood made me look up. Sarah, my venue manager and closest friend, stepped inside, her expression dark. "I just got the alert about Amanda's deposit," she said, shutting the door. "Did she seriously steal your money to book Luna Gardens?" I nodded and pulled up our booking system. There it was, a $50,000 deposit for the full luxury package. Paid for with my own money. She always did have expensive tastes, I murmured. Though I suppose it's easier when you're spending someone else's. Sarah perched on the edge of my desk, arms crossed. "How the hell did she even get into your account?" "Mom," I sighed, the realization settling in. "She's still a co-signer from when I opened it in college. It must have gone to the bank together." The betrayal wasn't new, just another chapter in a lifetime of Amanda getting whatever she wanted at my expense. While I'd been the responsible eldest, the straight-A student, the one who helped with the family business, Amanda had been the golden child. Every success of mine had been measured against her potential, every accomplishment dimmed so I wouldn't outshine her. "You're going to fight this, right?" Sarah asked, already reaching for her phone. "I can call the bank, the police." I lifted a hand, stopping her. "No, not yet. A plan was already forming. Let's see what else they have in mind." As if on cue, my phone buzzed with a text from my mother. "Amanda told you the good news. She and James are having their dream wedding at Luna Gardens. Isn't it wonderful? We're meeting with the venue owner next week to finalize everything. You'll help with the planning, won't you? It's the least you can do for your sister." I showed Sarah, and her eyes widened. "They don't know," she whispered. "They have no idea you own Luna Gardens." "No, they don't." I pulled up Amanda's client file. Her booking had been flagged for my review as a high-value event. And for now, let's keep it that way. The next hour was spent combing through the details of Amanda's grand vision. She had spared no expense: the champagne fountain, the imported florals, the gourmet 7-course meal. The total bill, just under $100,000. Almost exactly what she stole from me. "She's going to be unbearable at the planning meeting," Sarah groaned. "Actually," I said, a slow smile forming, "I won't be at the meeting. As far as they know, I'm just the sister of the bride. You'll be handling everything as venue manager." Sarah's eyes lit up. "And the honor?" "Conveniently unavailable. Family emergency abroad. Very tragic." I began typing a response to my mother. "Of course, so happy for Amanda. Can't wait to see Luna Gardens. I hear it's beautiful." The rest of the day passed in a blur of real weddings, real brides, real events that mattered. I threw myself into work, setting aside the sting of betrayal. There would be time for feelings later. Right now, I needed to focus. That evening, just as I was leaving, my phone rang again. This time, it was my father. "Olivia," he began, his tone carrying that familiar weight of disappointment. "Your mother says you're being difficult about Amanda's wedding." I paused, already predicting their version of events. "I just said I was happy for her." "Don't play dumb," he sighed. Amanda needs that money more than you do. You're established, successful. She's just starting out. This wedding means everything to her. The irony of him calling me successful while knowing nothing of my actual success wasn't lost on me. Dad, she took my entire savings without asking. That's theft. It's family, he corrected, as if that excused everything. And family supports each other. Amanda has always looked up to you, even if you don't see it. The least you can do is help make her special day perfect. I thought back to the little girl who used to follow me around, wanting to wear my clothes, to be just like me. Somewhere along the way, admiration had twisted into entitlement. You're right, I said finally. Family is important. I'll do everything I can to make sure Amanda's wedding is exactly what she deserves. The relief in his voice was instant. That's my girl. I knew you'd understand. And don't worry about the money. Once James's business takes off, I'm sure they'll pay you back. I ended the call, already knowing that would never happen. James was just like Amanda, all grand plans and empty pockets, always looking for someone else to foot the bill. Sarah reappeared, Coke in hand. Dinner? I think you could use a drink and some plotting time. An hour later, we were settled in our favorite wine bar, a bottle of red between us. Sarah took a sip, then leaned in. So what's the real plan? Because I know you're not letting them get away with this. I swirled my glass, watching the wine coat the sides. Did you know Luna Gardens has a strict payment policy? Full balance due 60 days before the event. No exceptions. Sarah's eyes widened. And Amanda's wedding is in 90 days. Exactly. Which means they have less than a month to come up with the remaining $50,000. I set my glass down with deliberate precision. And since they already spent my money on the deposit, they'll have to scramble for the rest. Sarah finished, her smile slow and wicked. And if they can't pay? I pulled up the contract Amanda had signed without reading. Then we invoked Clause 23B. In the event of non-payment, the venue reserves the right to cancel the event and retain all deposits as liquidated damages. Sarah let out a low whistle. Brutal. And they won't find another venue this close to peak season, will they? Not one like Luna Gardens. She raised her glass. To Amanda's dream wedding. May it be everything she deserves. I clinked my glass against hers, feeling lighter than I had all day. For years, Amanda had taken without consequence, shielded by our parents' blind devotion. But this time, she was about to learn something new. Dreams have a price, and in 3 months, she was going to pay it. The following week arrived faster than I anticipated. Seated in my private office, I observed my family through the one-way glass as they settled into Luna Gardens' opulent consultation room. Amanda had already claimed the antique French settee, sprawled across it as if she were royalty, while our mother fussed with her hair. The owner is running a bit behind, Sarah announced as she entered, effortlessly slipping into character. She carried a silver tray adorned with champagne flutes. She sends her sincerest apologies and hopes you'll enjoy some refreshments while you wait. Late? Amanda scoffed, her voice laced with irritation. Doesn't she know who I am? This is completely unprofessional. I bit back a smirk as Sarah maintained her poised demeanor. She had a family emergency overseas, but I assure you, I've been personally assigned to handle every detail. You're in excellent hands. Our mother accepted a flute, her sharp eyes scanning the luxurious room with barely concealed calculation. As long as everything is perfect for Amanda's big day, we've heard such glowing things about Luna Gardens. Only the best, my father added, though his discomfort was apparent. I suspected he was already calculating the numbers in his head, trying to figure out how they'd cover the looming final balance. Sarah proceeded through the wedding details, her smooth delivery amplifying Amanda's excitement with each extravagant confirmation. The imported crystal centerpieces, the Michelin-starred chef, the award-winning florist. Every indulgence was meticulously curated, each one inching the price tag further beyond their reach. Then Sarah reached the crucial point. Now, regarding the remaining balance. Oh, that's not a problem. Amanda waved her hand dismissively. Daddy will handle it. Right, Daddy. Through my security feed, I zoomed in on my father's face. There it was, that telltale flicker of unease. His throat bobbed as he swallowed hard. Actually, sweetheart, he said carefully, I wanted to discuss that. Business has been challenging. I might need a little more time beyond the 60-day deadline. Sarah remained perfectly composed. I'm so sorry, but our policy is strict. The full balance is due 60 days before the event, or we'll have to cancel and retain the deposit. It's all outlined in the contract you signed. Cancel? Amanda bolted upright, her champagne forgotten. You can't cancel. This is my wedding. Do you have any idea who we are? I understand your concern. Sarah responded smoothly, but this policy applies to all our clients. If we don't receive payment, we have a waitlist of eager couples who would love your date. The cracks were forming. My father kept glancing at his phone, likely recalculating numbers. My mother's confident smile faltered, and Amanda, she was doing what she did best, ignoring reality in favor of her fantasy. After they left, Sarah strode into my office, closing the door behind her. That was fun, she mused, collapsing onto my couch. Your sister wants a live elephant at the reception. For ambience. I raised an eyebrow. Please tell me you quoted her a price. 15 grand, plus insurance and permits. She added it to the list. I pulled up the running total on my screen and whistled. They're at $175,000 now. That's quite a dream wedding. Using my money. Sarah leaned forward. I dug into your father's finances. His company is worse off than we thought. Mass layoffs. Whispers of bankruptcy. I processed the information. Does Amanda know? Sarah snorted. She's still charging designer clothes to their credit cards. I doubt she's ever glanced at a bank statement. My phone buzzed. A text from Amanda. The elephant is non-negotiable. It's for my DDI. Also, using your old room at Mom and Dad's for my dress fitting tomorrow. Don't worry, I cleared out all your stuff. Not like you need it anyway. I stared at the message, a familiar mix of disbelief and resignation settling in. She cleared out my childhood room. Sarah rayed over my shoulder and shook her head. Most people would have snapped by now. Called the cops, exposed everything. Patience is a virtue, I murmured, fingers tightening around my phone. Besides, I have a better idea. Pull up the vendor contracts. Over the next hour, we refined my plan. Every vendor working Amanda's wedding owed me favors. A few calls ensured they'd all play their roles flawlessly. The weeks blurred into wedding prep. Amanda demanded daily meetings with Sarah, each one adding another layer of extravagance. Fireworks, a butterfly release, a celebrity DJ. The budget spiraled further, but Amanda remained blissfully detached. Then, exactly 61 days before the wedding, it happened. Declined? Amanda's shriek shattered the air. She waved her credit card at Sarah, eyes blazing. Try it again. I'm sorry, but all free cards have been declined, Sarah said patiently. And as per our contract, the full balance is due tomorrow. This is ridiculous. Daddy, do something. My father looked smaller, hunched over. Sweetheart, I tried to tell you, the business. We don't have the money. Silence, heavy, deafening. What do you mean, you don't have the money? Amanda's voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. This is my wedding. My perfect day, you promised. Maybe Olivia could help, my mother suggested desperately. She has savings. I already took her savings, Amanda snapped. That's what paid the deposit. My father's head jerked up. You what? Amanda rolled her eyes. Oh, like you didn't know? Mom helped me. It's not like Olivia needs it. She's probably just going to die alone with all that money. I watched my father's expression shift. He turned to my mother. You helped her steal from Olivia. It wasn't stealing. My mother defended weakly. We just borrowed it. For Amanda's happiness. Olivia understands. My father looked at me through the glass. But this time his gaze wasn't just apologetic, it was ashamed. You have until 5 p.m. tomorrow, Sarah stated firmly. After that, your date will be released. But the deposit, Amanda gasped. That's Olivia's money. The contract is clear. All deposits are non-refundable. The meeting ended in chaos. Amanda storming out, my mother chasing after her. My father remained staring blankly at the contract. After they left, I finally stepped into the consultation room. The air still carried traces of Amanda's perfume mixed with the scent of desperation. Well, that was intense, Sarah remarked. I picked up Amanda's abandoned champagne glass, tracing the lipstick stain on the rim. It's not over yet. Sarah raised an eyebrow. They can't pay. The wedding's off. Isn't that what you wanted? A slow smile spread across my face. What I want is for Amanda to learn that actions have consequences. And tomorrow at 5 p.m., that lesson begins. My phone buzzed, a string of frantic texts from Amanda. I read them all but didn't respond. Instead, I opened my calendar, blocking out time for tomorrow afternoon. If I was going to reveal myself as the owner of Luna Gardens, I wanted to do it properly. The stage was set. The players were in position. And in less than 24 hours, my sister's perfect wedding would come crashing down. And I would be there to watch every moment. The next morning, the sky was clear, a perfect day for revelations. I arrived at Luna Gardens early, slipping in through the private entrance that bypassed the main office. Inside, Sarah was already at work, systematically reviewing the security footage. Your sister's been calling nonstop, she informed me, clicking through the morning's recordings. She showed up at 6 a.m., demanding to see the owner. On the screen, Amanda stood outside, mascara streaked, hair in disarray, pounding on the locked doors. Any word from my parents? I asked. Your father called once. Professional. Apologetic. Requested an appointment with the owner at 4:30. Sarah hesitated. He sounded different. He's finally facing the consequences of their choices, I replied, adjusting my blazer. The charcoal gray suit I'd chosen projected authority, perfect for what was to come. Throughout the day, I monitored the growing desperation of my family. Amanda returned 3 more times, each visit more frantic than the last. My mother made frantic calls to vendors, begging for extensions. Per my instructions, they all politely declined. At precisely 4:30, my father arrived alone. He looked exhausted, the kind of weariness born of sleepless nights and hard truths. Show him to my office, I instructed Sarah. It's time. I watched via security feed as she led him into the owner's office, my office. His gaze drifted over the framed awards, the certificates bearing my name, the photos of me with industry leaders. I entered through the private door. Mr. Parker, I greeted, voice even. Thank you for coming. He turned and I saw it, confusion, disbelief, realization. Then shame. Olivia? His voice cracked. You own Luna Gardens. Among other things, I said smoothly, gesturing for him to sit. Though I assume that's not why you're here. He sank into the chair, still staring. How long? 5 years. This was my first venue. Now I have 3 others, plus a management company and a consulting firm. 5 years. He exhaled. We thought. You assumed, I corrected. That I was struggling. That I needed your guidance. That's what you wanted to believe. Before he could respond, Sarah's voice crackled through the intercom. Amanda and Mrs. Parker are here, insisting on seeing the owner. I met my father's eyes. Should we invite them in? He hesitated, then nodded. They need to see this. The door burst open. Amanda stormed in, our mother trailing behind. Where's the owner? Amanda demanded, scanning the room wildly. We need to speak to the owner. You already are, I said. They froze. The shock on their faces was almost comical. No, Amanda whispered. No, this is a joke. You can't. You're not. Luna Gardens has been mine for 5 years, I stated, eyes locked on hers. Along with 3 other venues, a management company, and a consulting firm. If you'd ever paid attention, you'd know that. Our mother collapsed into a chair, her face pale. But how? Because while you were all fixated on Amanda's potential, I was building something real. Every time you dismissed my achievements, every time you drained my accounts for Amanda's latest whim, I was growing stronger. And you never even noticed. This isn't fair. Amanda shrieked. You let me plan my wedding here knowing. Knowing what? That you stole from me? That you signed contracts without reading them? That you never once considered the consequences of your actions? I needed that money for my wedding. No, you wanted it. There's a difference. I pulled out the banking records and laid them on the desk. Just like you wanted my college fund. My childhood room. Every last thing you've taken. But this time, Amanda, you'll face the consequences. Olivia, our mother started, but Dad held up a hand. No, he said. Let her finish. We need to hear this. I leaned forward. The payment deadline is 5 p.m. If the balance isn't paid, the contract is void. The deposit, the money you stole, is forfeit, and the date will be released to another client. You can't do this, Amanda wailed. I'm your sister. Yes, and that should have meant something to you before you stole from me. I turned to our parents, and before you helped her do it. My father exhaled slowly. You're right, we failed you, Olivia. But we failed Amanda too, by never teaching her consequences. Daddy. Amanda gasped, betrayed. No, princess, he said wearily. This stops now. We can't pay for your wedding. We can't fix this, and for once, you'll have to accept that. The next 15 minutes were a blur of accusations, tears, and increasingly desperate manipulation. Amanda threatened to expose me. Our mother pleaded for family loyalty. I sat calmly, watching the clock. At exactly 5 p.m., Sarah entered with the paperwork. The contract is void, I announced, signing the documents. The deposit is forfeit. The date is released. I've already notified the vendors and offered the date to a client on the wait list, Sarah added. Amanda crumpled onto the floor, sobbing. Our mother rushed to her side. Our father remained still, watching me with new eyes. You've built something remarkable, he said quietly. I have, I agreed. No thanks to any of you. What happens now? He asked. I glanced at Amanda, mascara streaked and hysterical, then back at him. Now Amanda learns about consequences, and you all learn I'm not your safety net anymore. And the money. She'll pay it back, every penny, with interest. My lawyers have drafted a repayment plan. She can start once she gets a job. Amanda's head snapped up. A job? Yes, Amanda. A job, that thing people do to earn money instead of stealing it. I smiled thinly. The cafe down the street is hiring. It has a lovely view of Luna Gardens. You can watch other brides have their dream weddings while you earn back what you stole. Her look of horror was almost worth every penny she had taken. As security escorted them out, I felt lighter. Years of being the responsible one, the fallback, were over. Sarah returned with 2 glasses of champagne. Well, that was satisfying. I clinked my glass against hers. To consequences. To consequences, she echoed. But tell me, was keeping this secret all these years worth it? I thought of Amanda's face when she realized who held the power. Some lessons are worth waiting for. My phone buzzed. A message from Dad. I know it's too late for apologies, but I'm proud of what you've built, and I'm sorry we never saw it before. I didn't reply immediately. Instead, I looked out at the gardens where Amanda's wedding would never happen. I'm used to Sarah. I once dreamed of having my own wedding here. And now? I smiled. Now I own it, and that's better. Sarah raised her glass again, to owning our dreams. And making them reality, I finished. 3 months later, I stood in my office at Luna Gardens, watching the Johnson wedding unfold on what should have been Amanda's big day. The bride was glowing, the ceremony seamless, and the elephant-free reception was in full swing. Everything was exactly as it should be. My phone buzzed. A message from Sarah. Your sister's watching from the cafe again. I glanced out the window toward the coffee shop across the street. There she was, Amanda, in the cafe's standard black apron, standing behind the counter with a distant expression. She wasn't throwing a tantrum. She wasn't demanding attention. She was just watching. The past 3 months had brought changes none of us had expected. Dad had finally accepted the help I offered years ago, restructuring his business and pulling it back from the brink. Mom's boutique was under new management. One of my consultants, actually, while she learned the realities of running a store without cutting corners. And Amanda? Amanda was learning what life looked like without a safety net. The cafe job had been a shock. The first week, she left me teary voicemails about sore feet and broken nails. I ignored them. The second week, she tried to quit. Dad didn't let her. You repay what you steal, he told her. This is how it starts. Miss Parker, my assistant's voice broke my thoughts. Your father's here for your meeting. I turned from the window. These weekly meetings had become routine, a way to rebuild, to find a balance where we stood on equal footing rather than opposite sides of a fight. Dad looked better these days. Without the weight of enabling Amanda, he carried himself differently, more focused, more free. The Johnson wedding is beautiful, he said, settling into the chair across from my desk. It is. I nodded. They actually read their contract. He winced slightly but didn't argue. I saw Amanda earlier, he admitted. She asked me about borrowing money for a car. And? I told her to save up for it herself. He smiled, just a little. That's progress, right? Baby steps, I agreed. We spent the next hour reviewing his company's finances. When we finished, he hesitated at the door. Your mother wants to host a family dinner this Sunday, he said carefully. She's cooking. Real food. No Amanda involvement. The last time Amanda had attempted a family dinner, she'd served undercooked chicken and declared, "Cooking is for poor people." I considered it. I'll think about it. After you left, I pulled up the payment tracker I created for Amanda's debt. She'd been making regular payments, small but steady. The total barely dented what she owed, but for Amanda, consistency itself was a breakthrough. Sarah popped in around sunset with 2 glasses of wine. The Johnson wedding is winding down. Not a single bridezilla moment. Refreshing. I took my glass. Did you see Amanda's latest work review? Sarah grinned, pulling up the cafe's online ratings. 4 stars. Waitress seemed distracted by the wedding venue across the street, but the coffee was good. We shared a quiet laugh, but beneath it was something more, something close to understanding. Amanda, the girl who once sneered at service workers, was now one of them. There was poetry in that. You know, Sarah mused, she's actually getting better at it. I stopped in yesterday, she didn't even glare at me. I raised a brow. A miracle. My phone buzzed again. A text from Amanda. The Johnson wedding looks nice. Not as nice as mine would have been, but nice. Beto, I got Employee of the Month. First time I've earned anything on my own. Weird feeling. I read it twice. No demands, no complaints, no manipulation. Just something close to honesty. Later that night, as the last of the Johnson guests departed, I walked the gardens, breathing in the quiet. This was my favorite time at Luna Gardens, the stillness after another perfect event, the weight of responsibility replaced with the satisfaction of a job well done. Another message, this time from Mom. I've been taking real cooking classes, no shortcuts, no show. Would you come to dinner? We miss you. I stared at the words. My mother, actually learning. My father, finally standing firm. My sister, discovering what it meant to work for something instead of taking it. I'll bring wine, I texted back. The next morning, I arrived at Luna Gardens early, only to find Amanda waiting outside my office. She looked different in her cafe uniform. Less polished, less entitled. More real. The Johnsons tipped me yesterday, she said, shifting awkwardly. $20 for a $5 order. They stopped by before leaving for their honeymoon. I waited, sensing there was more. I used to be awful to service staff, she admitted. Never thought about it. Never understood. Understanding comes with experience. She nodded, then pulled an envelope from her pocket. Here. Extra payment. From the tip money. I know it's not much, but... I took the envelope, recognizing the gesture for what it was. Not repayment. Not yet. But a start. Are you coming to dinner? She asked hesitantly. I am. She exhaled, relieved. Good. I'm not cooking. Learn my lesson there. But I am bringing dessert. Store-bought. With my own money. As she turned to leave, she hesitated. The venue's beautiful, Olivia. You built something incredible. I'm sorry I tried to take advantage of it. Of you. I watched her walk away, thinking about growth. About change. About how life forces us to learn in ways we never expect. Sarah found me still holding Amanda's envelope. Everything okay? I smiled. I think it will be. So family dinner? Could be interesting. I straightened my desk. But first we have 3 consultations today. Real brides with real budgets and hopefully better family dynamics. Sarah smirked. One can dream. And I did. Not for Amanda. Not anymore. But for myself. For my business. For the life I'd built. As I prepared for my first consultation of the day, I looked out at the gardens where another bride would soon say, I do. Another family would celebrate here. Another dream would come true. And this time my family finally understood what that meant. Amanda might never have her perfect wedding at Luna Gardens. But maybe, just maybe, she found something more valuable. And that, I decided, was the best gift I could have given her.